What's up, guys? Tomorrow is Palm Sunday. We're about ready to enter into Holy Week. Can you imagine? We are ending this time of the Lenten season leading up to Easter in a much different way in which we started it. So it's time to enter in. It's time to make it really intentional. Hopefully, we're getting the hang of this worship thing. And if we're not, here's some ideas for you as you enter in to Palm Sunday. I know we all look forward to having palms at the beginning of Mass. We wave them in the air just like they did in Jerusalem. But why do we do that? Is to remember that Jesus, when he's walking into Jerusalem, they were waving palms in the air. It helps us to enter into the reality, the practicality of the celebration. It helps us to unite our hearts and our minds to what Jesus was going through, and maybe being part of that crowd who welcomed him, who first recognized him as king. And so as we're lamenting maybe that lack of normalcy in our lives, what is something that we can do in order to stimulate that same experience? I remember I was living in Chile years ago, and as I was in my house on a Saturday before Palm Sunday, much like today, there was a man that was going door to door, and he had a wagon full of all of these branches, and he was selling them for Palm Sunday. But I remember that I looked at them at first and I realized those aren't palms at all. And I wondered if this was just some kind of gimmick. Of course, I bought one, was ready for the celebration the next day. I went to the church, and that same guy was there outside of the church selling palms, and everyone was buying them. Those were the palms that everybody has. This guy was just creative enough to make it his business. This was his side hustle. But we all had those same branches, and they weren't palm branches that I was used to at all. But it emulated the same thing that everybody is doing throughout the world. What is a way that you can enter in? I don't know. We're right here in Champaign, the Diocese of Peoria, the Promised Land. Trees are already starting to bloom. Now, I'm not saying to go cut branches off of trees that aren't yours, but I'm just saying that maybe in your yard, there's something blooming. Or maybe there's something that you can use around your house. Maybe mom's plants. I wouldn't suggest cutting them up, but maybe you can just ask her if you can actually bring those plants into that room of worship, wherever it is you're worshiping. What if we don't have palms at all? What if we don't have any kind of plants? Well, you don't have to. That's not the important part of the celebration. It's just a help. But what about this other part? Maybe this could be another tradition that we start in the Catholic Church. I was just reading this morning, getting ready for Palm Sunday myself, just mentally and spiritually. And I was reading from Luke's Gospel when it talks about them entering in to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives on that day. And do you know, remember other thing that they did? It says that the apostles, they put their garments, their clothing, they put their garments over the donkey that Jesus was about to ride to honor him so that he wouldn't have to sit bareback. It was kind of like honoring the king, that he deserves something better. And what did the people do? They weren't just waving palm branches. They were actually laying their garments out on the ground so that even the donkey that Jesus was riding on didn't have to walk on dirty ground. They were honoring him as king. I just wonder that now that we're at home, this is something that I've never done in the church. But maybe at home, what if we start a new celebration where we honor Jesus by putting our own garments on the ground? Maybe there can be a pathway coming into that room of worship all the way up to the altar or that TV that we're going to be using to watch the celebration and to enter into the celebration. In fact, I wondered, what garment would you use? Would you use a coat? Maybe something that you wear every day? Great. Would you use something that you could allow to be stepped on? Or would you use something that was truly special to you? Something that would honor the Lord and to lay it on the ground, to show him how much he's worth in your sight. I wonder, as we look at the members of our family, I wonder what we were willing to lay down. That's not necessarily a measure of our faith. Maybe it's just a spiritual practice of saying, Lord, as you lay your life down for us this week, here's what I'm willing to lay down for you. There's so many things that we can do to enter into worship. I know that many people have given me great ideas. People I've seen submit their ideas and submit their pictures even to our website. I know that you can put the TV, put that on a table, like almost as if it's an altar. Put an altar cloth on that table to honor the Mass that is going to be going on that TV. Put candles in there to emulate what you actually see at Mass. Put candles, light candles. I know my cousin did something awesome. Her and her kids painted windows. She allowed her kids to paint the windows of their house almost like stained glass windows to emulate a worship space. Maybe that's a fun project that you can do as a family. What else can you do to bring that worship into your household? Rearrange furniture. Y'all, nobody's coming into your house. No one is going to see these things. We're not hosting anybody. Why not rearrange the things that are going into our house to make it special for these times, these extraordinary times, so we can do extraordinary things? What else will your family might be able to do to allow you to enter in to a greater worship of our Lord this season. Maybe you change the images on the wall every day. You print things out that help you to enter into worship, and you put them on the wall so that you see them as you come in the room. Maybe you change them day to day according to the church's custom, just like we do in our liturgical practices. We go about changing the church so that people can understand what's going on and enter in. Maybe you have an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary that you place in that room, and she gets to stay there all week. Why? Because she was with Jesus all week. She entered in at every single moment. I don't have all the ideas, but I want to be creative, and I want you to be creative. I'm just asking you, what is going to help you to enter in this week? We start with Palm Sunday tomorrow. We enter in with Jesus in his sufferings. We've been walking with him for 40 days, this Lenten season. It's time to walk with him this last week, to enter into his sufferings, because only through suffering do we enter into the resurrection of the Christ.